The city never slept, but Olivia felt like she hadn't slept in years. At 22, she was the daughter of Victoria Haley, the formidable Wall Street legend known as the Ice Queen. In finance circles, Victoria was feared and respected, a woman who had clawed her way to the top of skyscraper boardrooms, never flinching, never showing weakness. Reporters wrote about her as if she were more machine than human, driven by numbers, unshaken by chaos. For Olivia, that reputation wasn't just a headline. It was her life. Growing up in the penthouse overlooking Central Park, she had lived inside a world of marble floors, private schools, and perfectly pressed uniforms. But with all the privilege came silence. Her mother's attention was like the stock market, measured, fleeting, and only given when strategically useful. She wasn't neglected in the obvious sense. Olivia had the best tutors, the best ballet instructors, the best of everything money could buy. But what she didn't have was warmth. Her mother never hugged her when she cried. She never said, "I'm proud of you." She only asked, "What's next?" Now in her early 20s, Olivia carried that weight. The world expected her to be flawless, ambitious, cold, a reflection of the Ice Queen herself. But she wasn't like her mother. Inside, she was softer, gentler, and struggling. On a grey Wednesday morning, while rushing through Lower Manhattan for a corporate networking event her mother insisted she attend, Olivia felt a tremor in her chest. Her throat tightened. Her palms grew clammy. It started as a spark, then grew into fire, panic. Her breath came shallow and fast. The city sounds too loud. The skyscrapers closing in on her. She ducked into an alley, away from the honking taxis and the rushing crowd, pressing her back against a brick wall. Her body betrayed her, shaking, dizzy, heart pounding. She was having another panic attack. Hey, are you alright? The voice came from the open garage a few feet away. Olivia blinked through tears to see a man leaning out from under the hood of an old Chevy truck. His hands were stained with grease, his t-shirt worn thin, and his eyes, a warm brown, were filled with concern. She shook her head, unable to speak, clutching her chest as though her heart might give out. The mechanic wiped his hands on a rag and approached slowly, not too close, like he knew sudden movements would make it worse. "Okay, listen to me," he said softly. "You're not dying, I promise. It's just your body thinking it is. Can you hear me?" Her breath came ragged, but she nodded faintly. "All right," he said, his voice steady like an anchor. "Put your hand right here." He touched his stomach. "Breathe into this spot, not your chest. Slow. I'll do it with you." He inhaled deeply, his belly rising, then exhaled. "In through your nose, out through your mouth, like you're blowing out a candle. Try it." Trembling, Olivia mirrored him. At first, it was shaky, uneven, but he kept going, patient. After several rounds, her breathing softened, the fire in her chest dimmed. Tears streaked her cheeks, but her heart slowed. "That's it," he whispered. "You're okay. You're safe." She collapsed to her knees, sobbing, not just from panic, but from the sudden kindness of a stranger who didn't look at her like a burden or a weakness. The mechanic crouched beside her. "Happens more than you'd think. World spins too fast, and sometimes we forget how to breathe." For a long moment, Olivia didn't say anything. Then, wiping her face, she whispered, "Thank you." "Name's Jake," he said, extending a hand, not minding the grease. "Olivia," she replied, hesitating before shaking it. Something about the way he looked at her, it wasn't pity, it wasn't judgment. It was simply human. Over the next weeks, Olivia found herself drifting back to that garage on the edge of Chinatown. At first, she made excuses as she was in the neighborhood. She was curious about cars. But really, it was Jake. Jake was 30, a single dad raising a 6-year-old daughter named Emma. He worked long hours fixing engines to keep the lights on, but he never seemed bitter. Life had dealt him hardships. His wife had left years ago. Money was always tighter, but he carried it with quiet strength. He didn't know about Wall Street. He didn't care about hedge funds or mergers. He cared about real things like making Emma's lunch, teaching her how to ride a bike, or finding beauty in small victories. For Olivia, his world was like breathing fresh air after being trapped in a glass tower. They would sit outside the garage after hours, sharing takeout dumplings from the corner shop. She would talk about the suffocating weight of expectations, the pressure to be perfect, the loneliness of living in her mother's shadow. Jake would listen, really listen, then remind her she wasn't broken, just human. One evening, Emma climbed onto Olivia's lap with a drawing she had made, 3 stick figures holding hands under a sun. She had drawn Olivia in it, smiling. Something in Olivia's chest cracked open, something she hadn't felt in years, belonging. But the world doesn't let go easily. When Victoria Hale found out her daughter had been spending time with a mechanic, she exploded. At the dinner table, in her marble dining room, she spoke with icy precision. "You are a Hale. We do not waste time with a broken bar people like that. You're throwing away your future." Olivia's hands shook as she set down her fork. "Maybe I don't want the future you want for me." Her mother's eyes narrowed. "You think he cares about you? He wants your money, your name, that's all." But Olivia knew better. Jake had never once asked for anything. In fact, he had no idea she was Victoria Hale's daughter. She had never told him. To Jake, she was just Olivia. The more her mother pushed, the more Olivia realized something terrifying. She had spent her whole life being sculpted into someone else's image. But for the first time, with Jake and Emma, she was allowed to just exist, to laugh, to breathe. The breaking point came at a charity gala. Victoria paraded Olivia in front of bankers and CEOs like a porcelain doll. The room spun, the chandeliers too bright, the air too heavy. Olivia's chest tightened, a panic rising again. She excused herself, stumbling out onto the terrace. She couldn't breathe. The city below blurred. She thought she would collapse. Then she heard Jake's voice, not in person but in memory. "In through your nose, out through your mouth. You're safe." She did it. One breath, another. The panic eased. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she stood tall. When she walked back inside, she didn't go to her mother. She picked up her clutch, walked out of the gala, and into the night. She went to Jake. He was startled to see her at the garage in her glittering gown, mascara running. "Leave her." "What happened?" "I can't do it anymore," she sobbed. "I don't want to be her. I just want to be me. And when I'm with you, I can breathe." Jake pulled her into his arms, grease and all, and whispered, "Then breathe here, as long as you need." It wasn't a fairy tale ending. Not yet. Life was messy. Victoria didn't approve, the world didn't understand. But Olivia didn't care. For the first time, she was choosing her own path, a one filled with kindness, selflessness, and humanity. And in that small garage, with the hum of engines and the laughter of a little girl, Olivia finally learned that being strong didn't mean being cold. It meant letting yourself feel. It meant learning to breathe.